Hello, welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about the upcoming Cleffa Hatch Day. Obviously, it's a little bit from a PvP perspective, so I'm mostly going to talk about what Clefable does exactly. Looking into the event. These graphs are from the Pokemon Go app Twitter account. For some reason, they put more time into these from the Twitter account rather than the blog post. For some reason, I'll put the link of the blog post in the description anyway. This event's from April 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. You will get more 2km X, increased chance of hatching Cleffa. It can also be shiny as probably the highlight for non-PvP players. And it's a great opportunity, mostly, to get XL candy. An Ultra League Clefable needs to be XL. Or, well, it's better as an XL. And good thing, the egg hatch distance is also halved, so you can hatch more of them. That's great. Now, one thing that's kind of unfortunate about a hatch event for PvP players is that you don't get PvP IVs from them. You always get default IVs. And these are basically, if I take this one for example, you always have everything filled up by 2 bars at least, which means the minimum IV floor is 10, 10, 10. For newer players who don't know exactly what that means, each bar consists of 5 points, so 2 full bars is 10 points. And you kind of want a low attack most of the time for PvP. So yeah, this is not a great event to get a good Clefable. It's just good for getting the XL candy. And maybe you do want to trade with like other people for a good one. That's also still possible, of course. So now, for the remainder of this video, I want to show you the purpose of Clefable. What can it do and how do you use it? Let's take a look at the charge stack that it has first. Then we'll take a look at its competition in fairy types. Maybe if you don't have Clefable, you can also use another fairy. And then we'll take a look at some battle examples. Clefable has quite some attacks, but I'm only going to show you the viable ones. As for the fast attack, you have Charm and Fairy Wind. They are really the opposite of each other. Charm guarantees fast attack damage, very low energy generation, so you don't even get to your charge stacks really. And Fairy Wind doesn't do a lot of damage, but gives you a lot of energy. I would not recommend Charm and Clefable. There are better Pokemon that use Charm. As for the charge stacks, I would recommend Meteor Mash and Moonblast. Psychic has been nerfed into the ground when they murdered Medicham. It's not a great charge stack. Yes, the coverage helps against poison types, but you don't win those matchups anyway. And for fighting types, you have Moonblast, which pretty much takes every single one of them out in one charge stack. So Meteor Mash and Moonblast are the charge stacks you want here. And Meteor Mash and Moonblast are both very efficient, but they're all also a little bit expensive. And that is exactly what is holding Clefable back. If we take a look at fairy types as a whole, I think arguably these are all the fairy types that are competitive in PvP. But they don't all have the same role as Clefable. I'm going to filter out all the Pokemon here that are fairy types, but they don't do the same thing Clefable does. These fairy type Pokemon use fairy really only for their defensive typing and in expensive charge attacks. So very different function from Clefable there. I also put Alolan Nidos in there because Power Snow Alolan Nidos is just way different than Charm. Or as a fairy type coverage in itself. The next type of fairy types that I filter here are the Charmers. Obviously, some Pokemon that have both Fairy Wind also have Charm, even Clefable itself. But I think pretty much every single Charmer here is better than Clefable because the Charmer relies on a secondary typing, such as Alolan Ninetales, Wigglytuff, Whimsicott, Primarina. And if you want to go with just a fairy type Pokemon, you probably want to go as offensive as possible, such as Shadow Gramble. That leaves us to 9 fairy types that are competitive with Clefable. Except Xerneas, I guess, has Geomancy instead of Fairy Wind as the fast attack, but still has a pretty similar role. I've also visualized these niches. Many of the Fairy Wind users have a secondary typing, which gives them a little bit more extra defensive bonuses, but also defensive weaknesses. And the thing that Clefable really stands out in is its charge stack. This is Meteor Mash, a very strong Steel-type charge stack that only also Metagross learns. And it's not even that overpowered on Clefable, because you don't have the same type attack bonus, and it's super effective on Ice, Rock, and Fairy, which is not all over the place. But it does give you a little edge over other Fairy types. Lastly, I've sorted also on the competition for Clefable in each league. And again, Clefable only really stands out in Meteor Mash, where it's super effective on particular typings, such as other Fairy types. But the other Pokemon may have better defensive typings if that is what you're looking for in your team. For Ultra League, there's less competition because there's less as usable, right? Whimsicott and Mawile don't reach 2500 CP. I do think Whimsicott is still viable, but I didn't put it in because it gets like 2200. And then Xerneas is also competition here. But I must say though that out of these Pokemon, Clefable is one of the bulkiest. So it does have that niche over the other fairy types. Even though Xerneas has close combat, which is incredible coverage, it's pretty fragile, and that makes it tough to use. Real quick, the team that I'm using I built it around a Clefable Lantern core. I use this with Mantine to cover Wish Cache. Diggersby answers the Charge Bug or other Lantern. And then Dragonair and Annihilate are really just flex picks. These Pokemon can basically do anything. I feel like any team that I make, it's always viable with a Dragonair. So that's the team that we use. I think it's built pretty well against, around Clefable. Just the Skarmory that might be a little bit tricky. In this first matchup, I want to show you how good Clefable is in some of its better and some of its worse matchups. I lead my Lantern into Skarmory here, a wonderful lead. They swap into Annihilate, and I have the Clefable in the back. They're one counter ahead, which means we'll get Charge Attack priority on the Moonblast. I will lose the Charge Attack priority, so I'm going to go for medium match here. The reason why is if I start shooting baits and he starts shooting my Moonblast, he can actually win the 2 shields here. Fairy Wind as a fast type, super effective, just not impressive enough to actually farm it down at some point. So he could win the 2 shields. I don't want that, so I go for medium match, very strong charge stack as well, and then I'm able to shield and just farm down. What I also want to show you, I'm also going to throw Moonblast here into Skarmory. Arguably, it's worst matchup of Clefable, or one-off. This is still going to do a lot of damage. I will get 2 Moonblasts here. Steel Wings are super effective, so he's going to farm me down entirely, not throw a charge stack at all. I don't think he even gets there. Yeah, this is going to put the Skarmory super low. It doesn't really matter. It's like entirely walled by Lantern anyway. It has nothing to do there. So yeah, Clefable putting in a lot of work there. Then I come back in with Lantern. Lantern can take all these charge sticks. Everything Skarmory has is resisted. And I believe I have a great matchup in the back as well. It's the Diggersby into the Charge Bug. I'm just going to fast forward this because you probably know how this is going to go. I just hard wall this. This is such a good matchup for the Diggersby. Double resisting, electric, fire punch, super effective. He at some point tries to catch a charge stack. Unable to. I mean, it's difficult with a 4-turn Volt Switch, right? Because you see he's going to wait 1 or even 2 turns, hoping to catch. I don't know if that even wins him the battle, but as long as you don't see the Volt Switch get through there, you don't need to throw that attack there. So yeah, that's how good Clefable was against Annihilate, or in my opinion, not that great. It really isn't. If you go for Moonblast there, yeah, and you shield baits, they shield Moonblast, you can lose that. My next matchup is against ATX Ash. I was asking around for battles against people, and Ash was like, "Okay, well, I'll help you." Fine. She took Speed's Chief Team that he suggests for my graph and replaced Salazzle with Scatterage. And I'm pretty sure she enjoyed this lead. Guzzlord is one of those Pokemon that has nothing on Clefable. It's a dragon type. It's also a dark type. It's the one where Fairy Wind will do acceptable damage. I'm gonna just speed through this matchup. This just takes a while. A lot of skull, a lot of areas, but don't do a lot of damage. It's almost like a neutral matchup sometimes. Especially after she gets the first Scald debuff there. So it's gonna go through here. I want to take another Scald because I want to have less HP and I come out with energy. But yeah, the Ice Beam at this point doesn't even do half on Guzzlord, so what does it matter? I'm gonna go for Area Aces, will knock out. This Wish Cache is better at this point. At this point, the Wing Attack does as much as the Mud Shot because she like double or triple debuff me. That does nothing. In comes Clefable again. She has to switch out. I have Dragonair, and well, you see how this one goes. Skeledirge with an energy lead can win the one-shots here, but you need to be like 2 turns ahead. Because it's 24 turns for 2 Aqua it's 25 for 2 Disarming Voice. And she actually is barely ahead, so it doesn't matter though. I'm just gonna farm this all the way down, and then I have energy for the Guzzlord. Dragonair generally loses this matchup in neutral situations, but at this point, yeah. What can you do? Guzzlord is just so hard blocked. It does not Sludge Bomb, but it does like 60%, so not enough to deal with a Clefable. Well, great Clefable showcase of how it walls dragons, right? Who didn't know? The next battle I want to show you is Clefable in one of its more neutral matchups. This is not going to be my best battle against Enoff. You'll see why it really goes wrong from the start. I have a really good Shadow Dragonair. I'm pretty weak to Registeel in my team, and especially Cresselia. I basically have no Cresselia answer. So I'm always relying on Dragonair here, basically, to carry the Clefable. Like, I can play a little bit soft ABA to Registeel, soft ABA to Cresselia in some way. Gonna let this go. I have 2 Dragonair. One of them is high attack. This one is high defense because I noticed she had a Lickitung. I'm gonna go for Aqua here. The reason why is because I'm afraid she might catch on something. She doesn't catch, but she lives by 1 HP on this Lickitung, which is terrible because I know it's going to be that that Cresselia in the back, gonna get a spark here. Then it's Cresselia coming in. And man, if I Clefable it, that'd be great, because I also have a feeling of what's going to be in the back. I catch a Grass Knot here. Great play. You'll see that Clefable can take some damage. It's like a bit bulkier than like a Sableye. In the back is a Tapu Fini. Would have been great to have Lantern on this, but such is life. I'm gonna go for Meteor Mash. I'm hoping she shields for some reason. Obviously, it's not the win condition. for her, so she does not make that silly mistake of shielding the Meteor Mash. It's neutral because water does resist steel, but Fairy it does not resist. It's super effective against Fairy, so it's neutral here. Gonna shield because I want to get some more Clefable action here. I know at this point, I think maybe there was a win condition still for me at this, if I threw a Moonblast and then Spark down. But yeah, she's just gonna let it go. Gonna get some energy on the Cresselia here. Psycho Cuts do nothing, but she can definitely farm down from this range. Moonblast will do so much damage, so she's gonna shield that. And at this point, it's kind of over because I have some energy here. Just gonna fast forward here a little bit, but Lantern is a little bit helpless at this point. This is a rank 1 Lantern. And yeah, it just doesn't hold its own here. 2 Grasslands will knock out. So yeah, Clefable, okay in neutral matchups. Just not that great as you saw there. It just got so low, getting to 2 Meteor Mash and then to, shielding a service. All right, it's just not that great. My next battle is against Emmy Weedle, the EUIC champion. I'm going to show Clefable in a neutral matchup here as well, but first we have these leads. He swaps into Charge Bug. In a previous match we played, I didn't bring a Charge Bug answer with an Annihilate lead. This time I did bring the Diggersby. It's going to take a while. I'm just going to skip forward through this real quick because he's going to throw a bunch of Axe Scissors. I'm just going to get a lot of energy later. So here's the problem though. I think one more. Yeah, okay. Here we go. So Skarmy is going to come back in. It's going to get a lot of energy. That's one of the threats that Skarmy has. It's not that great into like Annihilate with shields up. But if you can get energy, its charge stacks is basically what you need against like Poliwrath and Annihilate. So yeah. Gonna get to another 5-punch, super effective, great, but it still won't put it in Night Slash range. That's kind of what I need. I waited this long with swapping on the Annihilate because its energy is crucial. I know it's going to be Cresselia in the back. We already saw earlier in the matchup against Enoff, Cresselia is widely unchecked against my team. I like Diggersby. It doesn't have that many great matchups, but it's better as one of the softer matchups versus Cresselia because it can actually take 2 Grass Knot. You see here, he throws immediately, goes for the Grass Knot. I think I'm not sure if he needs a Grass Knot and a Moonblast. I think he can farm down after a Moonblast here. We pace equally fast. Psycho Cut and Fair Wind are the exact same attack, basically. Just different typing. Gonna go for a Meteor Mash. I know he would shield at least 1. Then I get some great lag here. He actually does end up waiting for like 3 fast attacks. I catch up 3 as well. Actually 2. The last one's a sneak. And then he goes for a Moonblast here. It won't knock out just yet, barely. But he does get an entire farm down here. Gonna go for a Moonblast. This will put the Cresselia pretty low, but he won't shield here because he doesn't want to be prone to a Shadow Ball. Because that lag anyway, I do get my time here, which is great. Now here's the problem. Skarmy has energy. I have a Night Slash here. It's not going to knock out. I need to knock this out before the next Sky attack. Right? And I actually do get the knockout, so that's great. Now I have energy on Annihilate to deal with Cresselia, but oh man, I didn't keep track of energy anymore. That lag definitely threw me off, so it's kind of rough as well. Yeah, I actually throw 1 before. He wasn't at the charge stacks yet though, so yeah, I could have went for Shadow Ball here. Kind of unfortunate. He's gonna go for Grassland. I think that will knock out, otherwise I get to a Night Slash. However, we see here the neutral fast attacks from Clefable versus neutral fast attacks from Cresselia, and I barely win that. I actually would have come out with a Meteor Mash as well, so very close game though, very fun. In another battle against Emmy Weedle, I get a great leak with the Altaria, but the problem is he can always just bring in the Cresselia, no problem. I kind of want to win switch here, but I don't think I can. I'm a little bit ahead here, so I can throw his Moonblast. This should actually not be a charge stack purity. He should have gone there 1 before me, but well, that's life. I'm gonna go into Mantine now, and this Mantine is very neutral here. It can deal with the Altaria, with the Cresselia now, and if I can get energy out of this matchup, I can threaten the Altaria as well. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot here, but I need switch advantage. I don't have Ice Sponge on Annihilate, so it's pretty bad against the Altaria. Gonna go for an Aries here. I always say I hate Mantine. It's for this reason. It just doesn't do damage. It just doesn't like knocking out Pokemon. Here, maybe I make a little mistake. The mistake that I make here is that I give him the chance to get a lot of energy here. If I let him land the Moonblast there, he would still not be able to knock me out with the Cresselia before I get to 2 charge stacks, and then he wouldn't get as much energy on the Skarmory. I need to align my Annihilate into this Skarmory, but it's gonna come out with so much energy. So I'm already thinking, if he swaps back into Altaria later, I need to make sure I have an attack on Annihilate stored. But because I took a Grass Knot on the Clefable, I'm already in Moonblast range from that Altaria. So I'm in big trouble here. This is horrible. Gonna go into the Annihilate. He just throws another one. I have to shield again. Now I'm down a shield. And you'll see, he's also not in Shadow Ball range. That Brave Bird didn't make sense at all. That actually makes my counter do more damage. So I'm gonna store a Shadow Ball, then swap. Now I'm down so much energy here. You can actually barely not get to a charge stack there, but it doesn't really matter. Now at this point, he can just shield this, get more energy, even get to a Sky attack on my Annihilate. This is still not in Shadow Ball range, so Yeah, just kind of rough here. He gets Sky Attack, which will knock me out, I believe. Yeah, it does knock out. Clefable isn't fragile, but it's also not super bulky. I tried to go for double nice, hope I get a boost, but it's too late. He has another Sky Attack, and well played by him. I think the only thing I could have done cleaner was my Mantine play. Just get a lower, so Skarmy gets less energy, because I could have figured that if there's a Dragon lead, they have Dragon answers, Clefable answers in the back. So, yeah. In my next matchup against Smeetix, a very good Polish player, I want to show you a good side of a neutral matchup of Clefable. I get a tremendous lead here, Clefable into Altaria. Great, they swapped into Vigoroth. You can see that my team does have a great answer to it, but yeah, I don't have the Annihilate in the back, unfortunately. So, bold safe switch from him. Maybe realized there's no way I would lead Clefable with Vigoroth in the back. And this is actually... You lose the zeros and the ones here, I'll say. But winning the 2 shields is pretty sweet here. You can take 1 Body Slam. You cannot take 2. You already see how low I am. But since they're resisted, I do have the time to build to another Moonblast here. Moonblast will do so much damage. I'm also... I'm actually not 1 Fairy Wind ahead. Or even energy, technically, because he threw immediately. Moonblast will almost knock it out. Not entirely, though. You see here I lose the 1 shields, but I can Fairy Wind this down. Come out with a ton of energy. A ton. And I don't really need switch against Altaria. I know it's probably going to be Skarmy in the back or something. He needs to cover Clefable. Well, I make a misplay here. I probably should just let switch go. Allow my land to do Skarmy because Skarmy does nothing there. And then I have Mantine with Ice Beam in the back for that Altaria. Doesn't really matter at this point. Lantern is just a stupid, overpowered Pokemon. And it can very much hold its own here against a very high rank. I believe it does look like he has a breakpoint though on that Altaria. So yeah. At this point, like, he still has knocked me out. If I knock out his Altaria, his Skarmy still has trouble because Steel Wing is double resisted on water and electric. So double resisted. Unfortunately, no shields that. Still doesn't matter. I get the Spark down. Then Skarmy comes back in. Look at that. He gets energy. I don't really care, though. I still have a Moonblast stored. Moonblast, we saw earlier, does like, I would say like 30%. Between 25 and 30% to a Skarmy. Spark damage add up here. I'm going to go into Mantine. Steel Wing still resists on the water typing. He has Sky Attack and Brave Bird. But if he Brave Birds, he debuffs himself. And then he will lose the battle because Moonblast will do so much damage. I don't think it will knock out just yet from here. But I do in charge attack priority on this Ice Beam. This will put him in Moonblast range after the Brave Bird. I think Brave Bird still doesn't knock out here. Mantine is quite bulky. And that's just going to seal the deal. Mantine really is there just to check that Wish Cache if he had one, but he doesn't. And there we go. Moonblast coming in and it's going to take out this Skarmory. That's what I do love on Clefable. Moonblast is just so strong. Yeah. Next battle against Smeetix. You'll always see that I will run the Lantern Clefable core. It's just very strong. It's just not so much against Wish Cache, which is why I have Mantine to cover that. It's basically also my only answer. Like, Wish Cache, if my opponent has it, is so good against me. This is also a pretty good matchup for the Lantern. I think I can Spark down at this point. I may have to shoot 1 Body Slam, which I would to get switch advantage, maybe. The problem, though, is he actually goes Rock Slide here, which is interesting. I think it might be a little bit better in the 0 shields, because Rock Slide actually does do a little bit more damage, but is less efficient. So if you get 2 charge stacks, you might as well go for a double Rock Slide. I'm going to keep that, bring the Dragonair, hopefully bait out the Skarmy here. Altaria comes in, which is a very good read by my opponent. Very unfortunate for me. Actually, he's not going to have Skarmy in the back. It's going to be Clefable. Sorry, Clefable. It's going to be Charjabug. I have Clefable in the back. He shields once and gets an entire farm down. Really, really nasty. Now, let's see what I can do here. I do double resist Dragon Breath on Clefable, which is great, but Sky Attack is neutral. Hits a little bit harder than I would want it to. I don't know at this point what I would need to shield. If it's Feraligatr in the back, I need to no-shield something. If it's Annihilate in the back, I need to no-shield. If it's Charjabug in the back, I need to shield. I'm throwing on Charge Attack Purity with the Meteor Mash. So yeah. It is a Charjabug. I think I did expect it at this point. And then... Gonna go for a Moonblast. Let's see how much this does. This should do a tremendous amount of damage. Beautiful. And at this point, even a resisted Meteor Mash will almost knock it out. I think it might actually knock out at this range. And then I have a Surf Stored, so I should be very good here. Yeah, Clefable putting in some good work there with his shield advantage. Gonna no-shield this. I know at this point I need Lantern to win this battle. Access would be resisted on the Fairy type. I'm not going to swap there. I did try it, but I didn't attempt it again. Because if I get a 1-turn switch there and I do a Spark to get to my Surf, I would faint with it. So I didn't take any risk there. Just let Clefable go. My next matchup is against SS Thorn. In this season of Play Pokemon, there were 2 players that got to top 2 with a Clefable. This is one of them. The other one is Tonton Bateus, the 2023 USC champion. So... This is a scenario where I see my Clefable as a potential safe switch. My opponent always has the Crusader to rely on, so I kind of have to deal with that as well. And he has a Electivire and a Charizard, which is pretty wicked. It's going to be a pretty tough matchup. I lead my Lantern into Electivire. This is an okay matchup, but I lose the 0 shields if I throw my Surf first. That's what I do here. The thing is, I only win the 0 shields as well if I get the Charge Stack Purity tie on the Wild Charge, because he obviously goes through 2 Wild Charge here. I will take one. See, this is what I dislike about Electivire. You just have so little fast stack pressure. Magnezone would have already been able to knock you out there. But yeah, I'm just gonna shield this one, take switch advantage, and let's see what's in the back, because I know there is going to be Cresselia. I'm expecting Cresselia in the back. Gonna swap into the Annihilate to draw it out. There's a Gligar in the back. Well, I definitely didn't expect that. So gonna go for the Night Slash there, because I know he will throw Aerials before I get to my Shadow Ball. Yeah, I think that Aerials would knock out after some Lick fast attack damage. So this is terrible. I'm 2 shields down at this point, and there's a Lickitung with 2 shields in the back as well. Gonna go for another Night Slash here. He doesn't throw there. He knows I'm trying to get Charge Stack Purity tie with him there. And yeah, luckily I get him very low, but it's not gonna save me because this Lickitung is so tough to get through. Now, I must say though, Moonblast does hit very hard. I'm gonna throw right before his next aerial ace here, so he lets us go. He doesn't want to get farmed down by whatever comes in next, and then I can barely get to a Thunderbolt here. That's great. This may draw a shield. If I go for Surf, he may not shield it then. I still need 2 charge stacks. Gonna go into Clefable now. Let's see what Clefable can do. Licks don't do a lot, but Body Slam will definitely add up. I think I need a Moonblast and a Meteor Mash. Maybe 2 Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash is very strong, so we're gonna find out. That's the first Body Slam. I will take another one. It really comes down to how much energy he has at this point. Meteor Mash coming through, you can see good neutral damage. I'm not sure if I need Meteor Mash. I think I need Meteor Mash at this point. Meteor Mash should do it. Right? Meteor Mash do it here? Maybe 1 HP? Come on, I'm 1 off. We won't find out. He barely gets to that Body Slam there. And he wins this battle, so yeah. Good Electivire showcase, I guess. I think it's very much inferior to Magnezone. But I like Clefable. I like Clefable there. It's not that... I was actually surprised in the end by how close that got. I have one more battle against SS Thorn. Last matchup he didn't bring Cresselia, to my surprise. This time he does bring it. He leads it into my Dragonair. This is an okay matchup, but a very bulky Cresselia may hit a bulk point against Dragonair, which makes his matchup much better. But it's not as effective as the Altaria bulk point, so I should still be able to get a lot of damage in here. I do want to get slow. I probably want to switch against Electivire, but it's also a great opportunity for him to not shield. Never mind. I'm just going to keep all the energy for that potential Electivire. And then I take this on the Clefable again. Clefable is my safe switch. This is not even the worst matchup, to be honest. I'm going to go for the Meteor Mash here. This is a bait. I want to get the 2 charge stacks as soon as possible. He actually shields it as well. Moonblast would have done actually like half here. The reason why this is not a bad matchup is because he has to throw Blast Burn. Well, not at this range, but generally you have to throw Blast Burn here. If you throw Dragon Claw, it does nothing on Clefable. It's double resisted. This unfortunately does do enough. So let's see what I bring in here now. I think my opponent's going to blind throw, so I bring in the Mantine here. And if there's a Dragon Claw, I will take it very comfortably. Now I think I can go back into the Dragonair. I can take out this Charizard right away. The Cresselia already threw some energy, still has some energy. And I'm expecting that it's Electivire again in the back. I don't expect him to shield anything then. So, kind of weird visual here. I wanted to get Charge Stack Purity with him. Didn't get it though. And yeah, it's only a Grass Knot, however. I think I knew it was a Grass Knot, but it's resisted. It already does so much damage on the Dragonair. I need to take out this Electivire if it is in the back. This Electivire, he loves using the spicy Pokemon. I respect it. I mean, it's not a competitive battle, so why shouldn't you? Body Slam would do a lot, so he does shield that. And here's where I make a pretty clever play, I must say. Because I'm going to bring in the Mantine. He has to throw Wild Charge basically immediately. Well, it's actually very smart and counts perfectly. So he throws on the Area Ace. I believe he needs 1 or 2 more Thunder Shock at this point. But because he's double debuffed, Dragon Breath will do way more. And goodbye, Electivire. So, yeah. Clefable has a safe switch there. Not bad. Took a shield. Took a Moonblast. Didn't really see the potential that I wanted to have, though. But I think it was pretty good there. So, that was the Clefable video. Hope you liked it. If you have any questions, feedback, let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.